Do you have any evidence to show that he makes more than that?
That is a family-owned business. So the checks that they provide, they can write any amount they desire.
So when you testified a while ago, you were just saying that that's what you think or you feel, right?
It was just various situations.
Do you have a car payment?
Oh, yes. $900.
$900? Did you leave a down payment?
Yes.
How much did you give?
Like $10,000.
The parties are in agreement that the paternity was established by an acknowledgement of paternity. They're also in agreement to joint managing conservatorship. They also agreed to the standard possession order. But for the dependent that's under 3 years old, the parties have agreed to the first, third, and fifth Friday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. They've also agreed to using the app Close for communication, and the child will be exchanged. They'll exchange Mr. Mendoza's sister, Yanita Mendez, and will pick up dependents, looks like for a year. And the child exchange will be at 1860 South Veterans Boulevard in Eagle Pass.
Just keep the child a little quiet, Ms. Cassius, because we're recording them. 1860 what?
South Veterans Boulevard.
Okay. All right.
So just to clarify though, on the designation of the competent adult, if in case
Ms. Cassius, go ahead.
Maybe she could mute.
Yeah, I guess that's the best thing.
Okay.
You're gonna have to, is there somebody else that can take care of him?
At the moment, no. I'm working from home right now and he cannot attend daycare at the moment.
All right. We're gonna try it, but I can't mute you when you're gonna testify. I'm recording. So with that background noise, we're gonna try it.
Okay. I'm sorry, Judge.
That's okay. I understand, but I also have to try to record it in case there's an appeal. And so you may proceed, Ms. Casares. You were trying to get something clarified.
Yes, as to the designation of the competent adult, so that is my client's sister, but we wanted a clause in there that unless there's an emergency, then he would either try to designate someone else or go himself if there's no one else who can go and he still wants to exercise his visitation. But he's going to try his best not to be the one to go, so that there's no problems with Ms. Casillas. And then with regard to the visitation, also holidays, I believe that the parties can reach an agreement with regard to visitation during holidays. However, if they can't, I want there to be a time in there, like 11 to 8 p.m. or something, so that my client doesn't miss out on the holidays in case these temporary orders go into the holidays.
Okay, so do you have an agreement on if there is no, I'm not sure I understand. And this is only for the child under 3, right?
Correct.
Okay, for the child under 3, what you're saying is, just repeat what you said. And maybe I couldn't hear because the child, repeat it again.
So with regard to holidays, I'm suggesting 11 to 8 p.m. since Ms. Casillas doesn't want any overnights with the child under 3 yet. And he doesn't turn 3 until next year. So that my client can have some holiday visitation as well.
Okay, what we could do is, Ms. Casillas, keep it from 11 to 8 because it's the same as it would be on Saturdays, one of those Saturdays. So can we keep it from 11 to 8? It's simpler that way if you keep the same hours. Ms. Casillas.
On holidays?
You all have to share on the holidays.
Yes.
Okay, then we'll just keep it from 11 to 8 because it's simpler.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. And then the other issue was, I think you might have heard that with regards to the supervision or the pickup and the drop off, we were going to let his sister help you out with that, Yanira Mendoza, in the event she can't do it. What the family code says is just designate a competent adult. But in your particular case, you all are listing Yanira. He maybe have another family member. If that doesn't work out and both of them are busy, then he'll do it, okay?
Okay, Judge.
All right. The next issue, Mr. Feist?
Yes, next issue, the State would call Miss Cassius. Miss Cassius, what is your full name?
Annette Casillas.
And who do the children live with right now?
Me.
And Ms. Casillas, Mr. Mendoza supplied income, and you are not in agreement to that income. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that income was a gross monthly income of $2,400, as Mr. Mendoza is self-employed. Do you have any evidence to show that he makes more than that?
That is a family-owned business. So the checks that they provide, they can write any amount they desire. That's why I'm not
Your Honor, I would
agreeing
object
to the
as
monthly
hearsay.
support.
All right. Ms. Casillas, listen to the question and you can answer if you have personal knowledge, not what your belief is. I think the question was, do you have any evidence that he doesn't make $2,400 a month?
At the moment, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, so when you testified a while ago, you were just saying that that's what you think or you feel, right?
It was just previous situations.
Okay, well, with respect to that response, I'm going to sustain the objection. If you want to rephrase the question, then Mr. Feist,
So
or Ms. Casares can take her on cross, either way.
yes, she could take her on cross.
Okay, I believe in the conference or in the chat room, the child support officer, well, let me do it this way. Mr. Feist, do you all have his paycheck stubs? Did you all get those?
We have the checks.
From his work, right?
Correct.
All right. And
which, as she stated, were, from, because he's self-employed, is from his family. So what I understand. So
no, my question was, it wasn't verbal testimony. You all saw his paycheck stubs, correct?
we saw the checks. There's no paycheck stub.
Okay, so it's a paycheck, the actual paycheck itself. All right.
Yes.
And so, Ms. Casillas, since they have proof of wages, they have calculated based on what he produced that he has monthly gross income of $2,400. So I guess the question to you is, do you have any evidence for the court that that's not accurate?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Your next question, Mr. Feist.
And Ms. Casillas, do you know how many other children that Mr. Mendoza has that are his biological children besides the ones here in court?
No, and I do not wish to have any other information.
So using the calculations,
Yes.
Ms. Casillas, of the $2,400, the child support per month was set at $347 a month, effective November 1st of 2023. Were you in agreement to that?
No.
And could you explain to the court why?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Could you explain to the court why, using that calculation?
What he is offering monthly does not even cover my son's tuition for daycare or my daughter's cheer or any other expenses.
And Ms. Casillas, how are your children covered for health insurance?
Medicaid.
And using that same calculation, the medical support reimbursed to the state would be $121, effective November 1st of 2023. Were you in agreement to that?
If it could be lowered, I would request it for it to be lowered.
And the reason for it to be lowered, do you explain to the
so
court?
My children can get more monthly support.
And Ms. Casillas, were you and Mr. Mendoza living together?
No.
So you have never lived together?
No.
And when was the youngest child born?
August 3rd, 2021.
And you are asking for retroactive child support for that time frame?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, we also were going to, I believe we're still doing the temporary order. Is that correct, Ms. Casillas?
I thought we were doing temporary orders, but then you brought up the retroactive, so I'm not sure now.
Yeah, we're going to reserve the retro for that.
Okay.
The
All
temporary orders, Your Honor.
That's fine.
And I have no further questions for Ms. Casillas, Your
Ms.
Honor.
Casares, do you want to take her on cross?
Your Honor, I believe she already answered that she has no additional evidence that he makes any additional income. So,
All right. Ms. Cassius, I have a couple of questions for you then. Your youngest
Yes,
child,
Judge.
when does your youngest child turn 3?
Next year.
All right, so she's 2, he or she is 2 right now. And the other child?
She is 9.
All right. Are you employed?
Yes.
Where are you working?
In the Trinity 3rd District Court with Judge Maribel Flores.
Okay. And you're full-time?
Yes.
All right. And do you ever make overtime?
No.
Okay. And so do you have like a mortgage or a rent payment?
Yes, I do.
How much is that?
Just the rent or including bills?
But let's start with the rent.
Rent is $300.
All right. And who lives with you besides you and your 2 children?
Just me and my 2 children.
Okay. So you're the sole provider.
Yes.
All right. So your rent is 300. How about your utilities?
My light comes out around 150, and then my water about $60.
Okay. How about electricity? Or is that the electricity is the light? Okay. Anything?
Yes, the light.
Okay. How about your vehicle? Do you have a car payment?
Yes, I do.
How much is your car payment?
$400.
Okay. How about insurance?
125.
A month?
Yes.
Okay. How about
Gas usage?
gasoline, more or less, for your car to get to and from work?
I waste about $50 a week.
All right. And then how about groceries?
The groceries about $300 a month.
All right. Now, is this your only form of income?
Yes.
Do you get any food stamps or anything like that?
Oh, yes, I do receive food stamps.
How much are your food stamps?
About 400.
All right. So that kind of evens out with the food. All right.
Yes.
All right. Now, and I'm going to ask you again with regards to his income. To your knowledge, he works from family business. Do you have any personal knowledge that the income he's reporting is not accurate? In other words, were you ever living with him together at any time?
No, my personal knowledge that I have is that in the past, that's how they would make their checks.
But you didn't see that. You weren't living with him, is my question, right?
No.
Okay. Is there anything that he told you? Not his family, but is there anything he told you as far as this 2,400 that it was more than that?
In regards of the 2,400, no, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Mr. Feist, do you have any other questions?
Your Honor, sorry to interrupt. May I ask one question?
Yes, you can cross.
Ms. Cassius, because you qualify for food stamps, do you qualify for any type of reduced daycare for your children?
I don't at the moment because there's no funds in the program.
In what program?
In the workforce, the program is closed. So I cannot get any help for daycare.
Okay, and would you be willing to allow Mr. Mendoza to care for the child while you're at work?
Yes, but not for him to take him to work because I don't know the safety issues around there. I'm just doing what's in best interest for my child.
No further questions, Jen.
But you would be okay if he were to take care of them as long as it's not as long as he doesn't take them to work?
Yes.
All right. And coming back to the issue of daycare, Ms. Casillas, how much is your daycare? I didn't ask you that. How much is your daycare?
I pay $500 a month.
All right. And how much is your take-home pay? I asked you how you were employed, but how much is your take-home pay per month or per week or?
It is bi-weekly, and it is around
Okay. Mr. Feist, any other questions, or Ms. Cáceres?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Feist, do you have any other witnesses?
Yes, the state would like to call Mr. Mendoza.
All right.
Mr. Mendoza, what is your full name? And Mr. Mendoza, you heard Ms. Cassius' testimony. Did you supply checks as your income?
Yes.
Written checks, handwritten checks?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. And how much were those checks?
600 weekly.
For a gross monthly income of $2,400?
Yes, sir.
And is that all the income that you make?
Yes, sir.
And what are you self-employed doing?
Working on the fields, agriculture.
And how long have you been doing that?
Mostly all my life, since I was turned 18.
And using that calculation, do you have any additional children under 18 that are your biological children?
Yes, one more.
Okay, so using the $2,400 gross monthly income calculation, the child support would be set at $347 a month, effective November 1st of 2023. Were you in agreement to that?
Yes.
And there would be a step down of $270 a month. Were you in agreement to that? And medical support at $121 a month, reimbursed to the state, also effective November 1st, 2023. When you're in agreement to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have no further questions for Mr. Mendoza, Your Honor.
Ms. Casares, do you have any questions?
Your Honor, I would reserve my questions for Mr. Mendoza for the final hearing.
All right, well, then I have a couple of questions for purposes of the child support. Mr. Mendoza, okay, you testified your take home is $2,400. Well, your gross is $2,400. How much is your take home? Okay. But is that a gross or is that after taxes?
So, Your Honor, he's an independent contractor, so they don't take out taxes.
Okay, so he still has to pay that. It's still a gross for purposes of us. Okay. And Mr. Munoz, how do you, Mendoza, where do you reside? I don't need an address, but do you have a mortgage or a rent payment?
No rent.
How much is your rent?
$400 a month.
All right. And then how about a car payment? Do you have a car payment?
Oh, yes. $900.
900? What kind of a car is it?
The pickup truck.
What year? You just got it last year?
A couple months ago.
Did you leave a down payment?
Yes.
How much did you give?
Like $10,000.
Okay. And did you give it because you traded in another car or was it cash?
Because that's what they were asking me. No, it was cash because that's what they were asking me to can be under my name.
Okay. And did that come from your wages? Where'd the $10,000 come from?
It was a borrow from my family.
It was a what?
It's a borrow. They lent me the money.
Oh, a loan.
A loan, yes.
Okay. And so how about car insurance? How much is your car insurance?
Like $60 a month.
Okay. How about a cell phone? Do you have a cell phone?
Yes, it's gonna be like $80 a month.
All right. And utilities?
You have to ask her because she's
How much your light bill? How much is your
120, usually 120 a month. Water's like $50 a month. And that's internet, $30 a month.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. And gasoline. Do you pay for your gasoline to and from work or does your employer?
No, my employer.
Okay. So how about let me see. Groceries per month, more or less.
$30 per month. What do you say, like 200 maybe for myself?
All right. Now, who else lives with you? It's you and who else?
It's by myself right now.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Cassius, I forgot to ask you, but I might as well, in the interest of trying to be complete. How do you have a cell phone?
Yes.
How much is your cell phone? All right. And do you have internet?
Yes.
How much is that?
30.
Okay. Mr. Feist, do you have any questions of Mr. Mendoza?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Do you have any follow-up questions, Ms. Casares?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Casillas, you are representing yourself. Do you have any cross-examination of Mr. Mendoza? Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
I do have a statement, Your Honor. We did not set a reset date for the final hearing. If the court wouldn't.
Okay, I will get to that.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and assign a trial date. Mr. Mendoza, you heard Ms. Casillas testify that she believed that your paychecks may state 240, but that you may be making more than that, but that's what your employer. So the first question, that's what your employer puts. The first question I have for you is, who is your employer?
My parents.
All right. What type of work is it?
Field agriculture.
All right. And how long have you been working for your parents?
I've been on and off. It's because it's seasonal, so it's on and off since I was turned 18.
All right. So last year in 2022, because you mentioned seasonal, last year in 2022, was that the only job you had?
No, I was working with Verdun. I'm sorry, Renegade Well Services. I worked there for like 6 months.
All right. And then how about for 2023? Have you worked for anybody else other than your parents?
No, just my parents.
All right. What happened to the Renegade? Did they not call you back, or you quit, or what?
They just didn't call me back.
How long had you been doing seasonal or work for them on and off for Renegade?
No, it was only a like temporary thing because it was close by to where I usually work on Pearson.
So in 2022, you worked for Renegade 6 months.
6 months.
Okay. How about, do you remember if you worked for them in 2021?
I was only a one-time thing.
Okay. And for 2023, have they called you, and have they called you at all to work for them?
No, they have not.
All right. And in those 6 months, is it, by the way, is it the same type of work that you do for your parents?
No, it's a little bit different. Petroleum.
Got it. So it's something different.
It was something different, yes.
All right. And so how much did you earn at Renegade?
I was earning $4,000 a month.
Okay. And did that work just finish, or how did that, why was it only 6 months?
Because they were cutting down on, since the barrel went down on price, they cut down on people. So I was laid off. Just didn't call me back.
All right. And so the income that you make with your parents, do you have an hourly rate?
They just pay me by the day for the $600.
Okay, so they pay you $600 a day?
A week? No, it's a week.
A week.
Yes, they don't pay me hourly.
And what are your office hours? From 8 to 5?
It usually depends, but the earliest is going to be 5 in the morning to 5 p.m. to 7 to 7. It's 12 hours.
So they pay you $600 a week, no matter how many hours you work?
Yes.
So you could work very little hours and get the same
Yes.
amount, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they ever pay you any cash on the side or separate and apart from that income?
Just for the fuel.
Okay, now it's seasonal. You said it's seasonal, but when was the first time you started working for your parents in this business?
Since I was younger than 18, but at 18, that's when I started working there on and off, like at 18, after high school.
And how old are you now?
27.
Okay. How long had they been paying you $600 a week? Since when? Last year, or when did the $600 a week begin?
It was like around last year, when the other employer quit and they needed me more there, so that's when bumped me up $100 more.
You're talking about Renegade?
No. My parents' company.
Okay, so when did they start paying you $600 a week?
After I left, after I was laid off from Renegade.
Okay, so could you give me a year or a date? More, not a date, but a year. Was that in 2021, 2022?
2022.
Okay, prior to that, what were they paying you, your parents?
I was earning $500
a week.
a week.
Okay, and how long were you at $500 a week?
I started at $500 ever since I was 18.
So when you were 18, they started you at 500 and they just raised you to 600. Those are the only two the only two salaries that you've had or income.
Yes, ma'am.
Have they ever offered you more and you just said, no, you didn't want it for purposes because it would raise your child support, anything like that? Ms. Cassius, do you have any cross-examination, any questions you want to ask him?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Feister, Ms. Casares, any follow-up questions?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right. It seems like both of you, he earns a little bit more. He's got a little bit more expenses. And that's that I didn't even give you the benefit of the gasoline as an expense because your employer pays it. But by the same token, the groceries for you, Ms. Cassius, you listed it as an expense, but you get that amount in food stamps. So it kind of earns a little bit more. And so what the court is going to do is the court is going to set a cash medical of 50 with a child support payment of 400. I don't have any evidence that his income is otherwise, Ms. Casillas. We'll come back on the retro for purposes of the parties. I don't know, you all can explore that when we come back on the final orders. If you all have an agreement, let's say the visits are going well, Ms. Casillas and Mr. Mendoza, and you all want to factor something in for the daycare. In other words, he takes care of your child, maybe to eliminate that daycare amount or things of that nature. You can do that. I would think that that probably would be best by agreement, because you all know your schedules and how much he works and whether he'll be able to take off of work to take care of the child. And same token, you may not want to lose your slot at daycare. I don't know, but I'll let you all explore that. And when we come back, if it works, great. It might help out because the daycare is one of your largest expenses. It's $500. And so the court will set that. Your payments begin November the 1st. We can come back on either late October or December, depending on Ms. Casares. If you have, we can do it on December. The first date in December is December the 12th is our first setting. If that's available, we can come back for final orders on December the 12th.
We're available on that day, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Casillas and Mr. Mendoza. So the court will set the visitation schedule that was announced on the record. Joint managing conservators with Ms. Casillas having the primary right to determine residency. Standard visitation for obviously the 9-year-old, the child under 3. We did first, third, and fifth Friday from 6 to 8. And then it goes from 11 to 6 and then 11 to 8 on Saturdays. We're going to utilize the family members to help with the pickup and drop off. You will all communicate by app close. Is there anything else that I've missed, Mr. Feist?
No, Your Honor.
The location of the pickup and drop
I think
off.
we said 1860 South Veterans.
Yes, and that's McDonald's.
Okay, McDonald's on that area. Any questions, Ms. Casillas?
Could I state some things, Judge?
Yes.
Can the court take in consideration as well? I did provide everything for my children, as in school supplies, clothes, and all of that, and I didn't receive any financial help from him, and Pampers as well. Take daycare tuition and also cheer tuition for my older.
How much is the cheer tuition?
It is $150 plus expenses that they need to require, as in different wear, and then plus different other practices, and I do that on myself. I don't know if you can take it into consideration.
When we come back on the retro, we remember we're reserving the retro. You're talking about expenses that you've done and raised the child on your own, all that. We're still going to come back for the retro.
Okay.
And so we can do that also. If you want to, you can bring any evidence on maybe any other income he may have that he's not reporting, or that it's more than the $2,400. The court, obviously, if it's income that is supposed to be applied towards child support, we can reconsider that as well.
Can we, Your Honor?
Yes.
Can the state would like to request either January, February date on this one?
Are we full in December? We could do January. The first date in January is, we said January the
16th, I believe.
16th. That's
23rd.
fine. That's fine. Yeah.
That works for me as well, Your Honor.
All right, then it will be the same Zoom code unless you all object, but it will be by remote, Ms. Casillas and Mr. Mendoza, unless there's an objection. No objections, then we'll come back same time, same Zoom code, okay? Thank you to both of you. Thank you, Ms. Casillas. Thank you, Ms. Cáceres and Mr. Mendoza.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, bye-bye.